Okay, so I just want to show you a quick workflow, a very nice workflow for figuring out how bright a light sources should be. So because we are basing our values of real world data, we can easily find this information online. So I went to Home Depot, or you can go to any other website that sells lights, you know, like you can find the specifications from the manufacturers. So I just found this light here, and in here I have the specifications. I have the intensity here, I have the color temperature, and if I scroll down, it has a few values, like you can switch the color temperature to a few values. So let's set that up. First, let's fix the exposure, and I think I'm gonna stay around here because I want to make it, let's say like this is a backyard, someone's backyard, and this light would be in the backyard. So I think something around here should work. So let's adjust our exposure. And now it's gonna explode, right? So let's get the directional light, maybe like 5 lumens, just so I have something there. And the skylight doesn't update sometimes, so you just need to go back here and move to stationary, then movable, and then it updates. So yeah, this is, let's say like, this light doesn't make sense, but I just want to show the workflow. So let's say some evening like this. Even this is too bright. And post-process, let's try 3. Yeah. So just pretend that this is the correct lighting situation. So let's look here how bright's our light. So this small LED light, high settings is 8,300 lumen. So let's drop a spotlight and scroll down the settings here and change the intensity to lumens. And now we can just put that value here. It was 8,300, right? Yes. And the temperature from 3,200. Let's try that. Color temperature 3,200. So that's how bright the light is. And maybe this is a little, yeah, like that works. And then we can maybe make this angle a little bigger, or increase the attenuation. So you see, like, you get something that looks natural, you know, like at least you're in some ballpark. And of course you have to adjust. Like, things don't need to be perfectly measured. They just need to look they just have to look not wrong. So what if we want to do some interior lighting? So let's say here, I'm just gonna look around and I'm gonna find some light here that I can use there. Alright, so actually I found office lighting. I just looked for office lighting, and then I found this one here, 3,300 lumens and 4,000 color temperature. So let's see how that looks. And the color temperature was 4,000, it said, right? So that's how bright the light would be. So see how natural that feels. It just, like, the ratios they just feel good, you know. You can start from these values and then play around to get the visual that you're looking for. But look how nice that is. You get this full range. So if this was an interior seen at night, let's just make sure that our exposure makes sense. So let's say indoor artificial light, office and work areas. So let's try 7. Like between 5 and 7. So that's how you would be, right? In a office, let's say you are inside an office and you have this light lighting up the place. The outside would look completely dark if you expose your camera to the bright value here. So that's what's cool about the physical lights. Like, it makes a little trickier to work on a game environment, let's say. Like, sometimes you just have to play around with the values and compromise, but at least you have a place to start. So if I was gonna make an interior office scene, I would start from here, because then I can figure out how bright a computer screen is as well. For example, I'm just gonna search that and then I'll come back. So I searched how bright is computer screen nit. That's the value we want. When we want to measure how bright it is, we want to use nit. So here it says that not many computer displays go above 500. So let's use 500 as a reference. And I'm just going to create a material. And this material is going to have an emissive value. And let's say it's a little bluish. And I'm just going to drop some box in there. So let's pretend this is a computer screen. Big one. So let's drop this material there. And now we need to figure out that brightness. So let's put in the shadow there. And remember to enable visualize HDR eye adaptation, because then you have the nit value. And it said it was 500 nits, right? So let's crank this up until we get 500 there. Does it even work? It doesn't look like. I have a problem with my shader here. Oh, it's the emissive. I need a white here. Okay, so now we have 200 nits, which look really bright. 200 is on the low end, but still usable, while 400 is above average. So let's try to hit that. Yeah, like around that. So in this lighting situation, that's about how bright the screen would be, because our camera is exposed to this value. And if we crank this, you know, like an office at night, I think it would be more like this, right? Like you would need several of those lights, and it still kind of looks correct. But then we can play with this value because it's looking a little too bright. So that's the thing with the physical lights. I always start with the value and then I tweak it. So 200 nit, I'm still in the ballpark. It said it was in the low end. But yeah, like let's see what happens when we place that TV outside. So this is it, let's say if you put the screen outside with no lights, and you take a picture, that's pretty much what you would see, right? If it was like a flat color with this exposure. So I know that those values are at least in the ballpark. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this chapter. You just have to play around with this workflow and also learn to take pictures with your camera in the manual mode, play around with exposure values, and then you're really going to understand this workflow.